June 25th, 2021. And tonight I want to touch on a subject that I might be one of the only people talking about it or acknowledging it to some degree. So if you're like me, who just recently tuned into La Diva de la Banda, Jenni Rivera, I didn't really get to know her when she was alive. Sadly, I fell in love with her, thank you Netflix, because of the Netflix special or the Netflix series of Mariposa del Barrio. And it really introduced me to Jenni Rivera and her family and her music and her talent and her story. And I fell in love with her. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's gone to YouTube since the series, and like I wanted to know more about like Jenni and her men in her life, and I wanted to know more about her kids and her parents and just wanted her brothers. I just wanted to know more about them. And so I cried and was very devastated when at the end of the series. And then I feel like it didn't cover enough of what happened, so I went out looking for it and got a lot of information from online sources. And after falling in love with Jenni Rivera and her music, I went ahead and watched the series again from a certain point on, and just really felt like I even connected even more at that time, because now I knew the music, now I enjoy it, now I can sing along with it, now I can understand it. And so, just recently, so I can connect with it. And so recently I found out that I Love Jenni is on Hulu, and so I'm watching that, and it kind of compensates a little bit because I just finished watching the series again, and I just got hit with the again part, and how sad and devastating all of that was towards the end. And watching the I Love Jenni certainly keeps me going, keeps me feeling like there she is, and I'm discovering more about her. The one subject that I don't really see anywhere, and I would like to talk about it or mention it, just bring it out to light, because again, like I said, if you are like me who just discovered Jenni Rivera and you're out there looking for information, this might be particularly interesting to you because it mixes Jenni Rivera, La Diva de la Banda, and Fernie with spirituality. And so, como nosotros, como los mexicanos, we're not so tapped into spirituality per se. Grand majority of people in Mexico are Catholic. And so this might be something that isn't talked about much, but I mean, good old Jenni Rivera, she's still teaching her people about new concepts, and I thought this was really interesting. There's a portion in the series where she mentions twin flame, and well, she mentions it as twin soul. Which is a twin flame, indicating that someone, I think her sister, had something to do with the majority of that series, if not the complete say on what went in that series. And so obviously it insinuates that either Jenni Rivera was aware of twin flames, or she might have mentioned it to, even if she didn't in real life, mentioned it to Fernie, that they were twin souls. She might have mentioned it to her sister, because they were close, that she felt like there was like such a special connection between them, that they were like twin souls. So at some point someone understood, or maybe just her sister or the producers, directors, whatever, did some research into that connection, because they did a great job in the series about talking about that. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit before I'll get to that. They did a good job in adding that in there and making it be something that made sense if you know about the subject. So someone did their research, and really portrayed their relationship as a twin flame relationship. They really did a good job. So kudos to that. Kudos for bringing it to life into the Hispanic community, into the Latino community, because again, spirituality is out there. It's out there in Mexico too. It's out there in the Latino and Hispanic community, but it's not something that just a few generations back were really into or really embraced. And so it's still a new concept, and we're bridging that gap. That's what we are. And a lot of people are talking about spirituality these days. So, I mean, it's something that's growing in our community. So kudos to Mariposa del Barrio people who had some say in it and really portrayed the relationship how it was, how twin flame relationships are. And so I realized that Fernie and Jenni Rivera were twin flames before that one little quote in the movie, in the series, mentioned it. Because like any true twin flame relationship, it had its print. It had its unique stamp all over the relationship. I started seeing it from the beginning. Well, at first, not from the beginning, because at first I was like, oh, they really like each other, they're soulmates, or, but the series does make a point to say a few times, during their whole relationship, during that segment towards the end, of how special they were to each other. And so, just how they would describe each other was such a twin flame way of describing each other and the relationship itself. Just little examples of how, and you can go back, you can do the research, twin flame research, then go back and see the series, and you're going to know exactly what I mean. You're going to go, oh, snap. Yeah, they are. So I think this is a fun little tidbit for anybody who's doing the Jenni Rivera research right now, who's really into her right now, like I am, and realizing, hey, this is another little extra that she didn't, like, boldface say, I'm a twin flame and this is my twin flame. Maybe she didn't really know about that stuff. Quite possibly she didn't. But there it is, there's some information. And so the relationship in the series, they when they meet, they're like instantly attracted to each other, instantly. And they're just like so drawn to each other like magnets. And it's undeniable. They can't stop thinking about each other. They eventually end up being a couple because they can't help it. And they kind of talk about it here and there in the series, that she's much older than him, and of course that signature with true twin flames. Of course it's not 100%, but the majority of true twin flames going into this era of female energy, female wisdom, female love, and heart chakra space, and divine feminine. The twin flame female is going to be much older than the twin flame male, who is the one not leading, but following, his twin flame female and her wisdom and her guidance. And so, she was exactly about 11 years older than him, as mentioned in the series. And, of course, some people in her family had issues with that. And so that was mentioned a lot. Not only that, but they loved each other so passionately. And that doesn't mean that you're a twin flame, right? But they were just so drawn to each other that they were passionate in the good stuff and they were passionate in the bad stuff. And if you notice, when you go back and watch that part of the series, you're going to notice that they were teaching each other lessons. They were mirroring each other in a way that they were they were bringing about stuff of each other that they didn't want to deal with, and you'll see the turmoil in their relationship, you know, where one is pointing stuff out and the other one doesn't even want to hear it. They get into the physical altercations, they get into the shoving and scratching and the ripping and the kicking out, you know, and things like that. And I mean, they're passionate, they're hardcore, and yet they always seem to come back to each other, you know, and then they have this anger about each other and they point fingers at each other, but really it's stuff within themselves that they aren't dealing with, that they are, that is just surfacing, you know, for them to clear, for them to learn from, for them to grow out of, for them to experience and level up, you know. And so a lot of us don't know how to handle that stuff at the time, you know. It's with time and wisdom and thought and all of this effort that you put in over time that you learn to see that stuff and go, I could have handled that differently, I could have been this, I could have done that. It's the wisdom that you grow, that expands as you get older. And so, and you can see that, you know, that they affected each other a lot. And even when they were apart, they couldn't, they hurt a lot. You know, she mentions in the series, and even in her music, you'll hear her say she dedicates so many of her songs to him, even though she had 2 husbands by then and, you know, been divorced. He was the one who was her all. And even after her 3rd husband, he was the one who was her all. She couldn't stop thinking about him. She couldn't stop loving him. He was the man in her soul. And so, and for him, it was the same thing, you know, even though he moved away and he tried to replace her, and anytime he had his mind stilled and he had that quiet moment, it would go right back to her, you know, in thought. And at first it was just like him not wanting to deal with it. And with time, it was him embracing it and, you know, and listening to her music and loving her and knowing, you know, that she was on TV and stuff. So anyways, and I mean, they lived in this kind of the same area, I guess, Long Beach. So they got to see each other from time to time, which obviously amplified that feeling. I know that if my twin flame lived in the same town as me and we ran into each other from time to time or had a little conversation from time to time, that shit would blow up in our faces. And that's just the way it is with twin flames, right? It's just, you can put it aside, you can put it away, you can shove it in a drawer, never think about it again, archive it in your memory bank somewhere in your brain, and throw away those feelings. But the minute that twin flame is in front of you, it's just, it's undeniable. We're magnets with each other. So of course that surfaces a lot of that frequency, that shivering that I talk about in other videos, that was there. And so how they talk about each other, like wanting to be with each other when they're talking about their relationship with other people, like when he's talking to his mom about it, like, yeah, that he loves her and really wants to be with her, but he can't be with her, but he also can't be without her. And he's just torn. And then when Jenni goes off to marry her 3rd husband, how he's just so broken, but yet they still have a moment on her wedding day where they are on the phone with each other and they love each other and they respect each other. And, you know, they both know that there's always going to be something very special between the 2 of them, no matter who else is walking down the aisle with her, you know, and saying I do. So that was really touching. And then towards later on in the series, you know, when they reconnect, when she's having all those issues and she reconnects, they're just, you know, like she mentioned somewhere in a point in that same part where it's like she said she was just driving, and then like on an autopilot, she ends up at her twin flame's place, at Fernie's place, and she doesn't even know how. You know, again, that whole magnet, that whole connection, that whole soul calling her soul kind of thing just draws you in, draws you near without you even thinking about it, you know, just when you go on autopilot, there you are thinking about that person or feeling something, or it's just that connection. So it was really cool. It was really cool that that series touched on so many aspects of Jenni Rivera, but I thought this was one that I should bring up and mention to the Latino Hispanic community about, because it's Twin Flames as it is kind of unique. No, not kind of unique, very unique. It's kind of rare, and much more in the Latino Hispanic community. It's we're kind of paving the way for spirituality, and so it's really cool, a series like this that has so many people following it, and so much love, and so many people loving this woman that brought up that subject, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I just wanted to point out, for any of you that are like me, who are loving Jenni Rivera and didn't know about that, do your research a little bit on Twin Flames, and then go back and watch that whole part with her and Fernie from then on, and you're gonna see what I mean. I guess it's worth noting that if you want to know more about twin flame information, twin flame relationship, I am a twin flame. I'm twin flame activated. I'm not with my twin flame, but I have many videos talking about it. I wish I could get more organized, but I never have time, and when I do, I just feel like I want to just veg out and watch some TV. But anyways, there's I'm a twin flame activated person, so if you ever have any questions and want some true answers, not a lot of the BS that's out there, hit me up, and I'm more than happy to make videos. I'm more than happy to talk to you directly about the twin flame relationship.